The jury deciding the fate of a former Albuquerque cop accused of killing his own wife will not be back in the courtroom this morning.
Instead, they'll be back deliberating this afternoon to see if Levi Chavez is guilty of first-degree murder. The jury, 9 women and 3 men, are taking the morning off because one of them has a scheduling conflict. They deliberated for about 9 hours yesterday and could not come up with a verdict. Prosecutors say Levi killed his wife Tara with his police gun back in 2007, but Levi insists she was depressed about him cheating and really did kill herself. A popular defense attorney we talk with says this time the jury's taking to decide means just one thing.
I think the only thing that is the universal truth about a jury not returning an immediate verdict is that it's a complicated case that has not unanimous agreement from the get-go.
Usama Rashid there says it's really a no-brainer. This case is quite complicated. Attorneys spent 5 weeks questioning 40 witnesses, including Levi himself. So jurors have a lot to think about here.
The government and the defense took 5 weeks to try the case. It's not unreasonable to expect the jury to take their time making the biggest decision they'll probably ever make in their life.
If Levi is found guilty, he will face life in prison. And if all the jurors cannot reach a unanimous decision, the judge will declare a mistrial. Now, we'll be back in court today on Verdict Watch. We'll let you know as soon as a verdict is in. Well, do you want to know what Albuquerque's police department knew about Levi Chavez and when in detail with this investigation? Well, good luck. The city finally released its internal affairs report to us yesterday, but it leaves out a whole lot. The department told Mr. Chavez it was investigating an internal affairs investigation 3.5 years after Tara died. Well, 10 days later, Levi was fired. A termination letter lists the reasons why, but as you can see there, they're all blacked out. It's something the New Mexico Foundation for Open Government says is quite concerning.
For government to work and for democracy to function, it's really important that people know what's going on, what the government is doing on our behalf, and how we can connect with our government to make democracy work better for all of us.
The city says all the details are blacked out because of the police union contract, and so no one from the city, the police department, or the city's attorney's office want to talk about this report with us on camera.
Well, an update now to an accidental shooting that happened overnight involving a cop. An Albuquerque police officer is hurt after he was accidentally shot by a fellow officer last night. The officers were apparently responding to a call about a man with a gun on the roof of a business off of Old Coors in Central. Well, when they arrived, they found some people playing with a BB gun. One of the officers was holding his weapon, we understand, when he accidentally bumped into a wall. The bullet hit another officer in the calf, causing just a flesh wound. Now, he was rushed to the hospital. He should be okay. The officer whose weapon accidentally fired will be under investigation, which is standard procedure.
Happening now at 5:35. Good news for all you hikers and bikers out there. Albuquerque's Bosque and the Sandias are getting ready to reopen. You'll be able to get out and enjoy the great outdoors again this morning, starting at 8 o'clock. This includes the Bosque all the way from Socorro north to Cochiti. We've gotten a lot of rain recently, and it's helped with the fire danger, but as you know, we're still in a drought, so please be careful out there. Now, despite all this, the Mountain Air Ranger District in the Cibola National Forest is still closed because it is so dry there. And all fire restrictions now lifted in the Carson National Forest and the Pecos Wilderness. The monsoons are finally producing enough rain to reopen those areas, but the area around the Jaroso fire here will stay closed. That fire started back on June 10th and burned more than 11,000 acres. Well, again, the reason all those areas are opening up, we're sure glad they are, is because of all the rain we've gotten in the past couple of weeks here.
Yeah, this is definitely a more welcome sight in places around the state which are going through some extreme drought conditions. News 13's David Romero has details on all this. He's live from the Newsplex. Hi, David.
Morning, Elizabeth. Well, Cloudcroft and Magdalena are going through some dry times right now, but the rain is making some difference in at least one of those locations. Now, first off, there's Magdalena, New Mexico, which essentially ran out of water last month. I spoke with the city clerk yesterday who told me that they are pumping water from a well just a few miles out of town and having a truck back in and pumped into the water lines. She says that the rains are not having a direct impact on the well water itself, but says since residents are still under restrictions on how they can use the water from the taps, the rains are a welcome sight to help by watering the vegetation around town. Now, a little further southeast from there in Cloudcroft, that city is not doing as bad, but I spoke with Chamber of Commerce officials who say in spite of the pending rains, their situation has not changed much either. Springs and wells in the area are still lower than normal levels. That's prompted town officials to look for other options to get water, like drilling a new well for drinking water. Now, the only restrictions in place for residents right now are just to conserve water and use it for drinking and bathing, but not for things, luxuries if you want to call them that, for like washing cars. Now, Cloudcroft officials also wanted us to pass along to potential visitors to the town that they welcome all tourists to the area and people should not stay away because of the water issues. They anticipate it to be a short-term problem, but do have enough water to sustain residents and visitors. Elizabeth, back to you.
David, that's a great thing. Thank you. Magdalena town officials also tell us that while residents do have running water there, they still encourage them to use the bottled water for now for their needs.
Well, if you're in the market for a job, pay attention to this. United Healthcare and the state of New Mexico are holding a job fair today. It starts at 10 this morning, goes until 6 this afternoon at the Marriott Pyramid here in Albuquerque. The companies are looking to fill mostly customer service type jobs. Good luck if you're headed out there. The federal government has approved a plan by Governor Susana Martinez's administration to overhaul New Mexico's Medicaid program. The Human Services Department says the White House has given it the green light to make the changes next year, which could slow the rising costs of Medicaid while still improving health care for low-income families here. And 3 nonprofits that help veterans here in New Mexico are getting a big boost thanks to the federal government. They're getting $1.9 million to help veterans who are either homeless or on the verge of becoming homeless. U.S. Senator Tom Udall says the grant will help veterans pay their rent, utility bills, moving expenses, and more.